This episode contains language that is not suitable for minors. Please enjoy responsibly. And now, today's episode.
My internet's not being happy. Okay, you guys go.
We're rolling, and I'm gonna do the intro because if I don't do it now, the train will just leave the station and I'll be chasing after it. We tried this. We tried this in episode 15, and it was like an hour later. Hello and welcome to the Beatdown. This is episode 16. This is the Beatdown. I'm your host, Tony. I've got my two partners in crime over here that are self-described music experts, Chris Hewlin and John Rosso.
No, that's wrong.
Self-described. No, you are my experts. No, how about that?
You describing us as experts. I'm a music fan.
Okay. Well, you're Beatles expert. You're Beatles experts.
No.
Okay, what would you call
it?
What should I say? Enthusiasts. Music
enthusiasts is even
dumber.
We're fans.
How do I introduce you guys?
We're music fans.
Two music fans. I'm a music fan and I like a good story, so that's why.
Saying, two friends. I'm happy with it. If you say big music fans, fans. Know a lot about music. The expert thing scares me.
Okay, nobody's an expert. We're all experts now that we have a podcast. The Beatdown is available on Apple, Google, Castbox, and Stitcher, and YouTube. Subscribe to us and know when a new episode is available. You have something to say, you got to suggest a topic for the show, or you want to be a guest, send us an email to the beatdownmusicpodcast@gmail.com. Review our show if you're subscribing to us. Give us a great, thumbs up or thumbs down, and just review it in Apple Podcasts. By the way, they announced today they're changing Apple Podcasts. They're going to try and compete with Spotify. So I don't know. We'll see what happens in the future. Are we going to get bounced, or are we going to still be available on Apple Podcasts? Who knows what the new formula is going to be?
I don't know. What do you mean about competing with it?
Big Apple conference today. Horrible. Big Apple conference today. So they had a whole bunch of announcements. But this is a music podcast. It's not a business.
You heard it right here. You heard it right on the Beatdown, folks.
That's right.
Apple conference today. Thanks for putting that on my radar, dude.
Yeah, new iPhones coming out, new OSs, and all that kind of jazz.
I'm excited.
They did want to, in the blurb I read, they did mention about they're revamping the Apple Podcast app. So we are available on there. Got to check us down. And Chris, I wanted to add, because I was listening to episode 15 again. There is a run where John is talking and it's just me and John talking, and it's really silent. Just jump in as it's best when you just jump in. If it's
the episode Chris was sick though, where he was tired, like he had a long day.
I think it might have been
right. He was laid back. That's what happened that day.
But he still, there are brilliant moments where he chimes in, and I hear this stuff 3 or 4 times. Like I said. And even today, I'm out for my walk, and I just start laughing. This is like the comments.
John starts riffing, and I've been accused of, oh, you didn't let John finish the story.
No, forget that. Just jump in, because it's separated tracks, and
John will just go on forever, though.
Yeah, it's fine. They're separated.
I got a lot to say.
Yeah,
I'm an expert.
And we love him for it.
Tell us. We get that, right?
And we love
our Tony. You could say our resident expert and Chris Hewlin. You could say that.
I figure it's like you two are the resident experts and me. Yeah, that's how I look at it. I'm just
here
to
explain terrestrial radio again.
No, I'm just saying, Chris.
It was nearly insulting, but if you feel the need.
Just when he's on a diatribe and he's going along, just feel. I know it's in you. So just feel
diatribe. I'm gonna quit.
No, they're great.
Like Tony just wants to get the pot stirred, because today's episode we had talked a little bit about, the Beatles as kids, like what they were like when they were kids. If that does it matter? Like, I don't know, but like, because then you get into the whole, like, who fucking knows what John Lennon was thinking about anything?
That's
what I mean? Like, really,
wait, are we talking about kids or like teenagers?
Yeah, no, you've already gone down the hall. I was just saying the thing.
I'm just saying it leads to that. That's, we all know that it would lead to that eventually.
Then, okay, thanks. Good night, everybody.
No, we've now waited 2 weeks to go on this topic because we derailed the last time we tried to try this. We derailed and went off on a completely different tangent. No, go ahead. Let's officially kick off the first segment.
Like I was looking at I'll say this. I was looking at a picture the other day. It was of the Who. The Who are all standing there, and it's just like. And that Keith Moon wasn't a big guy, right? Like, you just know he wasn't. Like, he commanded the drums. He physically overtook the drums. But he wasn't a big dude. And yet, I think he looked like he was a couple of inches taller than Daltrey. And, and Daltrey gets this whole, like, fucking tough guy,
he's a little scrapper.
He's a scrapper. But my dad always said, like, well, the good big guy always beats the good small guy. It's just the way it goes, And it's just kind of like, that said, I will say that all the things, like, of all the things that about John Lennon that you might, about his abrasive nature and stuff like that. The truth is, from accounts that I've read anyway, and backed up by like guys like Pete Shotton and stuff like that, for old childhood friends, like Lennon was, he was not a nice kid. He really was a bad kid. Not just
like a bully.
Like I'll pick fights, and you're not getting out of this. Like, we're not going to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to insult you intellectually as well, but I'm also going to bloody your nose. Like, I think that's the way he kind of went about a lot of things as a kid.
But it sounded, in the Lewisian book, where that was sort of that it made me think about this. But you're going different than I was thinking. But it sounded like his big thing that mentions multiple times, it's like he would like push your buttons, and if you didn't push back, he ate you alive, and if you pushed back, you were friends.
I'm going to even earlier though, John. I'm taking it like beyond sort of intellectual sparring and that kind of thing. I'm talking about like when they were kids on bicycles. Mm-hmm. He was the bad, he was the black hat always, like in the gang. He was the ringleader and
always
fierce.
Always, yeah. It seemed like he was always the guy. Like, we're doing this, we're doing that. Like, he would make
doing this, and it was like, so Tony, like one of the things, like they had over in Strawberry Fields or at St. Pete's Church or one of these places that are, that every like Beatles nerds know. Like there was a big bonfire that was to be set on Guy Fawkes Day. So the 5th of November is Guy Fawkes Day. He and like his little gang of toughs go over to wherever this thing is going off on the 4th, and of course they light it up. They let's see if we can draw attention to ourselves this way. So they lit the fire, and the whole town comes out. Like, who lit the fire? The Guy Fawkes fire. And it was John and his gang,
his cohorts. And some of their songs or some of the songs he writes, you hear, it doesn't surprise me of what you're saying, especially when he's talking about like, I'll give you, talking about beating down his girl if she doesn't stay in line. And I know I'm generalizing here because I don't know the exact lyrics, but I could see that. It's a tough guy.
Oh, you're talking about Run for Your Life?
Yeah.
I mean, they make it sound like he was like anti-Mimi, like, good boy and like intellectual, and they would read the same books and discuss them, and then he'd go outside and be like, he was the first to like swear and have sex and smoke cigarettes. Like he like
I think there's a whole different thing that goes on with Aunt Mimi. I think that ultimately he wanted her utmost respect.
Exactly.
And I think that he, like, on one hand, like, would absolutely, you know, to his last day, he still called her once a week. She didn't die, but, like, you know, it was at least 10, 12 years after he died that she passed away. But
explain the reference.
She had recently shared after his death, like a letter, like or I don't. Maybe it was a letter or talking about a phone call where he was making plans to come visit her, and because he hadn't been in the UK in a long time. Yeah.
John or Chris, fill us in here for those who aren't geeks that don't know. He was raised by this woman, or what was the tie-in?
Like, his mom and pop split up early. His dad literally went off to sea.
That sounds much tougher than it was. His dad like worked on a cruise ship. Like he was like a waiter on a cruise ship.
Okay, he's not a merchant marine.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Be that as it may, he was gone all the time and stuff like that. There's conflicting stories about how Freddie Lennon, Alf, how he was not part of John's life. Like, early on, they split up. There's a famous scene, a famous incident that happens in John's life where he's a kid and his dad takes him down to some seaport town, and like Mimi comes, or rather,
down to Bogner, yeah.
And he chooses his dad over his mom, but he hadn't seen his dad in some kind of time. So he had, you know, this childhood fantasy about his own father, and was just like, you know, chose his dad. But really, it came down to, you know, a judge saying to a child who's 4, I think at the time, Tony.
Oh, okay.
You know, do you want to be with your mom or do you want to be with your father? Well, and he chose, like, you know, his mom. And so he goes with his mom, who immediately dumps him off on his aunt, Mimi.
Gotcha.
And
but that's so. I mean, that they in the Lucian book where they go pretty deep about it. They're saying how it has been sort of mythologized and whatever, and like a guy, the house. So Alf takes them to this house. And Mimi comes, and they're off in the parlor together, and they have a conversation, and the conversation is kind of like, oh yeah, it makes sense that John should be with his mother, and you're going to go off with your mother, kind of thing. You know, it's like they didn't do a big, like the whole drama thing that shows up in like in the movies, where, you know, pick your mother, pick your father. They said was the guy whose house it was, because there was a whole thing where like John and the father
still had to make a choice, like, you know, that exists, like they just make that up, like the whole, like, you know,
the choice thing. Yeah, it sounds like the whole choice thing is like a drama over, like, for the movies, and like people like to tell the story that way, and so John apparently was in the room during the conversation. It was like the front parlor of this place, and so it's because there was a talk where the father was going to go to New Zealand, and John was going to go to New Zealand, but apparently Alf loved to spin these tales, like all of it. He's not like how everyone rewrites Beatles history. That apparently, you know, there's all these stories about how he was arrested in Brazil, he was mistaken for another man,
right? But like this part of the story,
he was going to be on Broadway, and you know, it was just all bullshit, you know.
Yeah, this is talking about
that's his reputation. But that part of the story is more just like, I don't know. I was just kind of telling whatever, like where he ended up. Like ultimately, his mom dumps him off. She only lives like a mile or so away, you know, from him, and he's raised by his aunt, and he has an uncle, who's Uncle George, who he genuinely really loves and stuff like that. Yeah. You know, and his aunt, I think,
that the relationship with the guy is like it's affectionate, whereas Mimi, like you know, shows no physical affection, was kind of the way it was described. And this is like Pete Shotton and like the kids like sort of talking about how they interacted, you know. So